Hey guys, so there is a atheist, evolutionist, materialist named Charles Hill that has been posting extremely long comments, giving his opinion on the content that I'm providing in my search to find the truth about evolution or intelligent design, or somehow a mishmash of both, which some theists believe as well, that evolution could technically be seen as intelligent design, that an intelligent designer started the clock of evolution and has the endpoint goal of humans made in his creation. Some Christians believe that it's like, no, evolution can be intelligently guided. It may appear naturally selected, but everything is being set up by an intelligent designer. Quite possible. For me, it's not really that. It's not really that way that I see it. So I think I deserve Charles Hill. I deserve to respond to him, but it's way too long. I despise responding with my phone to these long, responses. It's such a waste of time. I asked Charles Hill to come on, and it's like, let's discuss. I don't feel that I'm in a position really to debate my side, because I'm really returning to this topic that gave me the impression that intelligent design is extremely valid, has extremely valid uh, proposals, opinions, propositions, critiques of evolution at the moment. And I was also shocked 10, 15 years ago that I was like, whoa, because I believed in evolution. So as you're going to see, Charles Hill is going to criticize me and say, you're trying to just, you're not using your logic or rationality. You're just trying to justify your religious belief by not accepting evolution, which again is not the case, because I came up to those conclusions way before being a Christian. It did not rock my faith at all, because I always believed in God, and it was completely fine for me to say that God created through evolution. So no, I'm not trying to force this, though I may flip the page and say it's extremely important for you as a materialist and as an atheist to cling at the ankles of evolution. Um, you know, I'm religious, and I admit that my religion, to a certain extent, relies on some blind faith. I think that faith just means trust. So I also believe that I've developed stronger and stronger faith by looking at more and more of the details within Christianity and the Bible and prophecy and things like archaeological sites, as well as artifacts. I think the only real artifact that I think holds an extreme amount of weight is the Shroud of Turin. So this is a long, progressive, multifaceted journey that I went on to slowly gain more and more trust and, faith, faith below reason, some faith above reason. And we mostly admit to a certain extent that this is perhaps a theory as well, that is not completely unfounded and not completely proven. So it's the same approach that you materialistic evolutionary atheists, the evolution that the origin of species, and specifically Darwinian evolution, that uses slight adaptations, speciations, microevolutions, small changes within a body system. I'll use body system because I know you don't like to say the various kinds of categories. A kind, that's not a scientific word. That's a word that the creationists use. Fine. Body systems. Birds create birds, okay? And reptiles create reptiles. So there is, like, as Darwin believed, one single origin of life, and branches out from that one thing into everything. what we see is we do see these branches, but we see all of a sudden complete body systems appearing, even if we're going to use the fossil record, which I have my criticism about that, how it's used to justify time periods. But we do see the Cambrian explosion where complete body systems seem to have appeared rapidly, and those body systems through external environmental forces are able to activate certain genes that are already coded information and possible variations that could be expressed within that body system. So we do see a form of branching out within each complex, completely finished body system. We do not see any transitional fossils, as you would call them. We don't see all these evidence of slight variations. We don't see that. We see long gaps with explosion of complete body systems appearing. So let's read through, and I'm going to answer Charles this comment he made, like maybe not even 24 hours ago. I'd like to go back and see other comments, extremely long comments that I feel that I have the obligation out of respect to kind of focus on, because that's a lot of writing. Unless this guy has a copy paste that he has stored up, because but I don't think so. It seemed to have been geared specifically towards some of my claims. So let's. Okay, so you can go and see this space, time, and matter question mark God. Can we add God to time, space, and matter? Please go see this video before perhaps looking at this response to comments, so that you truly get exactly what I was saying. I think that Charles here took things out of context. Evelyn, you also put some very long comments, and I will respond to those as well. I had a little bit of trouble. Perhaps I'm not sure if I completely understand, so my response might we might have to go a back and forth to make sure that I understood exactly what you meant. There's a few vagaries. So here's Charles Hill again. Charles, thank you for interacting with my channel. I Hill meant first. This isn't the point you think it is. The further you go back in time, the more this becomes true. You may as well have said that they are all racist. Now, this is me talking about some of the fathers of science and their religious beliefs, primarily Christianity most of the time, some Jewish fathers of science. They were all theists to a certain extent, and their theism did not it was not a barrier to them making profound scientific discoveries. Now, physical science, okay, not theoretical science and these things, but truly the science of looking at the physical world through a theistic worldview, understanding that God has founded this creation in wisdom and truth, and that it portrays the knowledge of his handiwork, and we can even closely understand his invisible qualities. All of this was the motivating force for the theistic church fathers, and all of the majority of science. Science was completely comfortable with believing in a theistic being, and using that motivation and that worldview to say, well, if it's built in wisdom and truth and founded in knowledge, then we should be able to look deep into creation, physical sciences, and see these fixed laws and fine-tuning of the universe. And this is exactly what their motivation was. It's only perhaps in the mid-19th century, like the mid-1800s, that all of a sudden Charles Darwin came with this theory, looking at various shapes and sizes of finch beaks, and really looking at adaptations, speciations, variations within finches, and said, look at these small changes. There is small changes. Wow, if we add enough time, these small changes can create complete body systems. And as far as physical science or science, we have to see that these are to a certain extent observable. When we start going with things that we cannot observe and start founding theories and hypotheses on these, I think that we've entered the realm of religion. So Charles doesn't realize that I'm admitting that I do have a religious worldview, but he doesn't understand that though I'm a theist, and that I admit is a religious term, that atheism as well is a worldview, is a worldview that explains, well, it can't explain the origin of life, even though it likes to, just go over that. And all this to say is, Charles, you have a religion too. I'm a theist, you're an atheist. It's a belief structure, it is a worldview, and you're also a materialist, and you're also an evolutionist. And these are all religious worldviews, in my opinion. And it takes almost, in my opinion, more faith to believe that nothing created everything with no meaning and no purpose, that life came from non-life, that the fine-tuning of the universe is not adjusted by a higher being. All of these claims take more faith, in my opinion. The only thing is that the universities have been infiltrated over since the 1850s, as society has become more and more secularized, as well as the adoption within the university and academic structures by these atheists, this infiltration and this pushing of a materialistic, evolutionary worldview. And let's read here. This isn't the point. So he's trying to, I believe, make a point at 11. Let's just go up, okay, and look at that timestamp just for you guys to get context of what it is.
This view, all of the founding fathers, look at Newton, go check it out. They were all theists.
Yeah.
They used science to investigate God's creation. They knew that God was creative and had order, and they knew that because his qualities have to exist within this complexity, then they went and said, we will go investigate physical science, because we know that we'll get to know and understand the creator more. Now, science actually was funded from let's say the explosion in the 1500s right up to the 1800s. Was science was founded on, just give me a second, guys. Science was founded on a Christian belief. It's only when Darwin, I believe, I might be off.
Maybe he is interpreting it as saying Christianity, though Christianity, I believe, created the law, the rights, and a tremendous amount of founding the West. And here I'm not saying that the Christian or the Bible is proven here by these early church fathers. I'm just saying that this idea that people cannot hold a theistic belief in the scientific community because it's just a stupid superstition is not founded. You guys are looking at a purposeless, meaningless process, and we are looking and seeing intelligent design, order within the universe. I just want to look through one thing. Yeah, so over here is the apparent design and fine-tuning for conscious life of the universe requires a cause that is purposeful, but physical processes alone can't produce a universe that appears to be designed. They are not purposeful. I want to look at, Dawkins. Forgive me, guys. There is one quote by an atheist. I'm not sure if it's Dawkins. The universe appears to have design, but doesn't. It's a quote by. Can't find that specific quote, but Stephen Hawking says universe can create itself from nothing. Again, bold claim. We also have Richard Dawkins over here. Just want to make sure, guys, that I press the audio for the share screen. I've done that before where I forget. Let's try and get this completed within half an hour so I can post it. I have a longer video also, watching another lecture on intelligent design. Stephen Dawkins,
physicists are still
high priest of atheism. Question.
Physicists are still working on the origin.
How could the enormous universe come from nothing? Enlighten me, Dawkins.
Of the cosmos. Among them is Lawrence Krauss, whom I shall be talking to next week. Now, it is very mysterious how the universe came into being. It's a deeply mysterious and interesting question.
And can I just interrupt? It's an old question, a very old question. Thomas Aquinas in the 13th century was asking the same question. He said there must have been a time when no physical things existed, but something can't come from nothing. That was his view. It's just repeated by us.
Something can come from nothing, and that's what physicists are now telling us. I could give you, you asked me to give you a layman's interpretation. It would be a very, very layman's interpretation. When you have matter and antimatter and you put them together, they cancel each other out and give rise to nothing.
They give rise to energy. Total mass energy is conserved.
What Lawrence Krauss is now suggesting is that if you start with nothing, the process can go into reverse and produce matter and antimatter.
Okay, well, who created matter and antimatter? Who created this law, even if it was true, right? Who created the matter and the antimatter? Press play, you fool.
The theory is still being worked out.
Well, there are many troubles with Richard's teachings, but a fundamental one is that he dumbs down God and he soups up nothing.
You can quickly respond to
that. You can dispute exactly what's meant by nothing, but whatever it is, it's very, very simple. And why is that funny?
Because you're saying something that's never been observed ever, and science should be able to observe things before making, positive assertions. It's absolutely illogical. It's pure stupidity to say nothing created everything. It's often the simplest explanation is the truth, and you guys are pulling some insane mental gymnastics Okay, and I'm going to be criticized of saying you're trying, to debunk evolution because you have to do that to hold on to your worldview. Well, Dawkins is following the religion of atheists, and his creation myth, as well as our creation myth. I'll call it a myth, sure. Well, your myth is as well. Evolution is a religion. Atheism is a religion. Nothing did not create everything, because we know that everything or something can create everything. Now, okay. And I never indicated that something has to be a Christian God. That's unprovable. Doesn't have to be it has to be, perhaps we can limit it to a mind, to something. But the theistic is way more valid. It's a valid question. To have spun it around scientifically to say, well, we're the scientific community here. Nothing created everything. Well, it must be true. The scientific community said it. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Likely something has created everything, but, no, that's not true. Well, we're atheists and we can't explain the origin of life, but we're darn sure that life creates life. We see that law as well, but that doesn't matter. We will hang on to the concept that, again, nothing living has created life. And you guys just keep on going down your religious dogma. And I'll tell you one thing, it takes more faith to believe your doctrines than what humanity, most of all existence until the mid-19th century, believed. That there was an intelligent design and fine-tuning behind the universe. I can't find the quote at the moment, but I believe it's in the video that Charles Hill is commenting on, with the claim that the universe does appear to be intelligently designed, but in fact, that is an illusion. Some bold claims, some unfounded, unprovable claims, and we have seen in the social sciences the complete possession of these fields in university, adopting a woke agenda, teaching critical race theory, teaching various ideologies that have become a social contagion, especially in the West. These things that are false, these social contagions and false ideologies have been pushed from top down. All of these theories have come from brilliant, genius academics in the universities. Anybody who's followed this channel knows that, well, science, why would there be a conspiracy where 99% of the scientists believe that? I don't know. But anybody here will look at the nutritional science and be completely disgusted again with the false ideology adopted and influenced by their hero Ansel Keys. Charles Darwin had no idea about the complexities even of a bacterial flagellum, a rotary gear, a beautifully designed. We couldn't have even did better in the machines that we make. This is of a nanotechnology, a nanoparticle size, these machines. Charles Darwin just saw a blob, and said, well, this is what we come from, this simple blob. We know that even the most simplest cell is a complex industry of machinery, a city with power plants, as well as production lines, assembly lines. Amazing.
Well, I think it's a bit funny to be trying to define nothing.
This here is what I call the emperor has no clothing, okay, situation that occurred. This is a emperor that has no clothing event. See, Charles Darwin is used to having the power of appeal to authority, expert. Although I don't remember, but I don't think that he has a PhD in everything. And even this topic that he has to dive into, I'd have to check into it. I'm sure you guys can put it, Charles, you can put it in the, pardon me, in the comments. What is his academic profession and specialty? The most famous atheist is the one who can say the greatest absurdity with the straightest faith. Bravo. Bravo. All right, looks like that's the end of that. Let us go back to the comments. So this isn't the point of view you think. The further you go back in time, yeah, obviously. So he's referring to, like, you may as well call them all racist, implying like, yeah, of course, you know,
If you don't mind,
they were
can we
all
spend a few minutes
yeah.
talking about God, if that's okay? So I'm just,
Forgive me.
I too.
So he's saying like, yeah, okay, well, back then, you know, it was society and culture. Everyone was Christian, so, and they were all racist. So you may as well, you know, you may as well just call them that. And again, I wasn't saying that the Bible was science was the Bible was the tool that they used for science. I'm saying they were able to hold a theistic outlook and accomplish the very foundation of what science is held upon. They had the motivation because they believed, as I said, that creation, us included, we are created with wisdom, truth, and the knowledge of God is apparent in His creation. So what I'm saying now is atheists have infiltrated, because largely, well, it's normal, largely the West has become more and more atheistic. And there is problems when we forget God, bad things happen. The church, Russians can account for that. The church and religion as a whole, no matter the society, had a monopoly on both wealth and education. Agreed. Even people like Michael Faraday, who are largely self-educated, have a significant involvement with Christianity because that's the religion of the times. This doesn't mean that Christianity is responsible for these discoveries. No, I agree. But people who are responsible for these major discoveries were able to do that with the worldview and belief in Christianity. Yet, this is almost impossible. Atheistic, materialistic academia will state that, you know, this is basically mythology. It's fairy tales for adults. And it's like, first of all, in the science and scientific discoveries and questions that we can pose from science, atheistics can, scientific academics can, you know, ask questions that they feel that they may have the answer and they want to prove from a godless world. And Christians can, you know, use this and say, well, you know, this is not a pointless fluke, that there is fine-tuning, there is intelligence, there is information, there is coding. Okay, there is a natural order. There are laws that are put in place that are constant. This comes from the Creator that not only gives moral laws and various other laws, He also gives the laws of the universe we live in because He created it. This doesn't mean that Christianity is responsible. I agree with you, Charles. Religion stifles the ability of ordinary folk to have education because of their hoarding of resources for their own benefit. Again, people like to use history and the misuse of power in the name of the written Bible. And we do not need to defend that, because humans are corrupted. And just like healthcare, government can become corrupted and misused. And so what do we say? Oh my goodness, there's corruption in the healthcare system because corrupt people, humans are corrupt by nature. So we screw up everything in a way in this fallen world, in this fallen state. So we'll see corruption in healthcare. Are we to say that healthcare is false and should be completely abandoned because of the corruption within it? How about the justice system? How about law enforcement? Do you think that we should stop the justice system? So public servants, government's completely corrupt. So no more governing, no more justice, no more, taking care of the unhealthy, because there's corruption in there, proving that they are false and invalid. So your argument holds no weight. I will defend the Bible with what it's written, not with what people have done to it in the past. Because we also have a completely atheistic, materialistic, evolutionary driven, horrible things possessed by that ideology and belief. Horrible things have also occurred. Okay, the problem is that these horrible things that have occurred in Christianity are refuted in the actual literature, but in evolution, the conclusions that we can come from a purposeless, meaningless, morally subjective creation, this justifies genocide. Because as Dawkins says, there's just pitiless indifference, no ultimate right or wrong, no purpose, no meaning. As he says, just pitiless indifference. If you believe that all of this is pitiless indifference, that there's no real right or wrong or purpose, then that's the precursor, that's the foundation we need to start practicing that survival of the fittest, cleaning, weeding that gene pool out. 1240. So you're admitting that you want evolution to be disproven because it threatens your ideology. This is not the rationale of a man who is confident in his beliefs, but rather an insecurity and a projection of that insecurity. So again, if you've followed, which I don't see why somebody would follow my videos that is completely against it, wasting time, because Charles, you know the truth. So then there's the question, why are you wasting so much time here with a stupid idiot like me if you already know the truth? Then is that possibly that it's beyond truth, but it's actually hatred of God? That you, having known truth, are still willing to waste your time in these superstitions and lies? What is the fuel behind your desire to waste so much time on idiots like me? It's because you hate God. And that is proven as we go down this comment situation. This is proven by you saying that you actually enjoyed somewhat the philosophical ideas that were presented in the first 12 minutes, roughly. But then after I start making these philosophical claims about morality, conscience, moral compass. And I say that this conscience, this moral compass, that though you reject why we have it, it's God-given, but you still use it, right? Still making the claim that everything's meaningless, purposeless, and subjective. But now you're making claims here, strong claims of right, wrong, truth, falsehood, meanings. So again, because you're made in the image of God, you can refute all of these truths, but you'll realize that if you're not mindful, that you'll start reborrowing all of these these claims that Christians can make, because they do believe in absolute truths, not just well, that's relevant. So no, I'm not trying to force and disprove evolution, because my worldview is just so frail and weak and can't be held to scrutiny. No, I told you that I had no skin in the game, that even if evolution is proven to be true, it won't break my faith at all, because there's many Christians that believe in evolution being intelligently guided. Which can't be proven or disproven, and you can't prove that it is unguided as well. So we're on even footing here. But again, I believe in creation, intelligent design. I acknowledge that, yeah, that's a worldview, and it's part of my religious worldview. You use atheism and materialism, and that nothing created everything. That's your worldview of creation. That's your world view as well. And you're just not acknowledging that that is a belief structure, that you have also gained a lot of that knowledge by perfect strangers that you trust, just like religious people start looking at preachy preachers. You do talk about me being preachy, and that is an intolerance to worldviews. Why are you so triggered by me believing in the Bible? Is it that your worldview is so frail and so punched full of holes that the same thing can be applied to you? That you're not really rational. You don't look like a rational man that's truly confident in your own beliefs, but rather you're actually quite insecure, and that you're projecting onto me these insecurities. Again, I can make a strong argument for that, Charles, because you're wasting time here with a topic that's already been closed and shut. The jury's been out in your mind on this topic, yet you waste so much time here writing these novels, which I appreciate. But for me, this is somebody who's dead sure, but must write these novels to people that have ultimately different views. This actually shows that you must defend with all of your heart, all of your mind, and all of your being this worldview. You cannot let go of evolution, because if evolution and nothing created everything is false, then you know something created everything. And you have to be held accountable. If there's an actual creator, then you can't live for your lusts. Then you can't create a God in your own image that just loves you and just it just affirms all of it. Here's the misunderstanding you have.
These wars, Roman times, when the Medo-Persians were fighting Alexander the Great, all of this death, this suffering, this pillages. Think of the Crusades. Think of the dark moments. What does it really mean anymore? That suffering of those people, they existed, they suffered, they died, they have no more consciousness, they ceased to exist, their body decomposed. In fact, over time, everybody related to that incident has died, and the next generation might hear about it, and the next one after there might forget about it, and perhaps now it's just written in the history books. But what real meaning does it have? What true meaning does any of that have? Is it good? Is it evil? At best, again, like Dawkins said, pitiless indifference. And these people that were wrong, these people that injustices were done against them, these people that did horrible, unjust things, and a Christian can say it was horrible because a Christian has a moral, solid foundation that is unwavering. It's not subjective. So the atheistic, materialistic view, it is correct. Dawkins is accurate from his worldview. No evil, no good, no true meaning, no purpose, just pitiless indifference.
So, Charles, I just want to know, because with what you're about to say, do you disagree with Charles Dawkins? Do you disagree? Are you at least in agreement with me that, wow, his materialistic, evolutionary worldview, materialistic, atheistic, evolutionary outlook, it's brought him to nihilists, to nihilism, to nothing's meaningful, there's no real good and evil, and just blind, pitiless indifference. So what I was trying to say over here, my friend, okay, here's the misunderstanding. You have what I was trying to say about all of the suffering, the wars, that happened 200, 300, 400 AD, the issues that happened well before that. In the end, you must affirm that we came from some extremely simple, some bacteria like something in a swampy soup of molecules, and something happened, and these molecules were able to start producing protein, and they were able to replicate that protein because they had information in DNA. I'm not sure how this 3.6 or something billion nucleotide chains, this coded sequence of information that had to be completely formed and functional. I don't know where that came from at all. So give me 1 second. We can go back as well. It's easier to remember here what I was trying to directly respond to. Boom. All right. Yeah, so I get into it. What I was trying to say here is all of the horrible things that have occurred in the past based on your worldview that Dawkins clearly tells us, the conclusion to that worldview is that all of the pain, all of the suffering, all the injustice that occurred in human history is exactly just like what was happening very, very early on in evolution. Whatever kind of primitive things were fighting, killing each other, it was just bumping in, just doing its thing, no meaning, no suffering. How can we say that this stuff is good or evil? Right up to the animal kingdom, we really can't say that a lion eating a tiger is morally wrong. I think that nature in the animal kingdom is morally neutral. Animals just do what their instinct does in this current situation. We have to admit from this materialistic evolutionary nothing came from everything, and that's where my great grandpa is. You have to acknowledge that all of these in fact deaths, these survival of the fittest, these slight advancements that are beneficial, all others have to die. all others have to die for this to continue and basically propagate. So now that we're further and we have a higher state of consciousness, how can you say that we should be held to higher standards? Why? I'm just like an animal. Why are animals morally neutral, unless you're saying that a tiger is morally wrong for eating a gazelle? Now, Charles is going to further come after he criticizes. I used all these examples of all of these things that have happened to people that I don't know their name. I don't know details in history. Not everything's written in history. So it's not really purposeful. It's not meaningful, because nothing can have meaning if there's no real meaning or purpose for what we have. Dawkins is very honest in saying that it's just pitiless indifference. That my judgment on things, as well as you, Charles, it's just pitiless indifference. It doesn't really mean anything. Truth itself doesn't mean anything. Knowing truth doesn't mean anything. So I went through past things, but all of a sudden I think I mentioned crusades, and like, boom, that hatred for God, that hatred for the Bible, for the Christian God, just and maybe he doesn't know, just boom, comes to the forefront, and everything now becomes blamed on religious institutions, when in reality there's no good, there's no evil. It's just doing what it's doing. Animals create social networks and hierarchies, and is that really good or bad? And now when we make these systems of organization that other body systems and life forms create, we all to a certain extent create these things, but now that's evil. You don't like that. Okay, that's bad. Your worldview is on thin ice and melting. Your worldview is not as solid as you think. Not as solid as you think at all. The Crusades, wars which killed more than 5 million people, fomented by Roman Catholicism, Christianity, for the acquisition of the Silk Road, strategic footholds in the Middle East. This was a war of pure greed that used religion to manipulate ordinary folks into fighting for something they had literally zero interest in. I agree that it was a war of pure greed, and it wrongly used religion. So again, I'm glad that you acknowledge that religion was used to manipulate, and not that religion itself is manipulative. I completely agree with you. The wording of this was perfect. That's not nature, that's religion. That's the power of religion, to get a man to fight against his own self-interest, while at the same time causing them to discard their own survival instincts. Completely agree that religion was used that way. It's funny because things like climate change were used as well for causing people to discard their own self-interest, to discard their own survival instincts, their own common sense. So what else? How about the last 3 years? What was the last 3 years science used by experts to say we will get a man to fight against his own self-interest, perhaps locking him up, perhaps injecting certain things, perhaps people unable to work. All of this pushed by fear within the origin of science. So religion did that. So from your point of view, it seems that you're implying that religion should be discarded. Should we use the mishandling and manipulation of the science community to affect social changes on us ordinary folks? Did we really have any interest in completely changing the future of our society culture? Yes. Okay. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I want to get back into it. That's not nature, that's religion. That's the power of religion. So when you say that's not nature, so what you're saying is in nature, there's a lot of fighting, a lot of stealing, a lot of animals forcing themselves during mating season and stuff, a lot of acting like an animal. And what you're saying is that nature can do all of those things, but uh, then is man outside of nature? Why are men held to a higher standard if we're part of nature? That's the power of religion, right? Right? To get a man, okay, we went through that. If I fight in this war, then my God is correct, and if I die doing so, then I go to heaven. I like people that don't read the Bible, that draw, somewhat straw men, that are ignorant of what the Bible says and what Christians say when they talk about all these denominations. Well, the majority of all these denominations have the core belief of Christ, who he is, the triune nature of God, who the eternal Son is, all of the dynamics of how that starting point created all of this. So nature does not care if wars are waged. It is indifferent to the suffering of the world because it just is. I agree that all of the things happening in nature are not morally right or wrong. It is indifferent to the suffering, pitiless indifference. And you're getting very close to the conclusion that your high priest Dawkins says, that it's pitiless indifference. So I want to know, if it is indifferent, why you have grabbed a man and taken him out of nature, where indifferent suffering and moral neutrality is there. And to be honest, in a way, you do put man there, so you can say that there's no objective morality. But then after that, you just grab him over here and put him on the other side to say that he's going to be morally accountable. You're not logically consistent in your worldview. So all life is suffering and death. A war is not a natural phenomenon. I would say that yes, animal tribes do fight and go to war against each other and viciously slaughter other tribes. Lions will continue to kill gazelles day in and day out, no matter how much humans wage a war. Yeah, and the Bible, if you weren't biblically ignorant, has an explanation why lions kill gazelles day in and day out. It explains why they kill gazelles, and it also explains why God's going to work it out where there will be no predators and prey. You see, death entered the world, entered Eden, death, and man fell because of sin, and man having dominion over all of God's creation here on earth. Then through that dominion, all of creation fell. And we can see these quotes that thorns and thistles now will grow on plants. So there was definitely a creation that was perfect, where no suffering, where no death was, due to free will. We're not robotic automatons. Something happened. I'm sure God was aware that this would be paradise lost, and he was aware that there'd be a long, long history in between, like any good movie, where things are really screwed up. Things aren't really looking good. And then the hero can arrive, and then the end is Eden restored. So don't give me any of your, well, if God was created, why did this horrible thing happen? Why is that happening? Why would a good God do that? Well, don't even waste your time with a Christian saying that. Their worldview accounts accounts for all of the mess that we're in now, and the solution and the end goal. And it says why the origin of life. In the beginning, God created. In the beginning, God created through his word. And it was created through his word, for his word, by his word. It's still sustained by his word. We can interchangeably say that the word of God created, or God the Father through the word created. So the word is, in a way, the instrument of creation, the paintbrush for the painting. And let's continue. We got to start finishing up very soon. Is not. So all of that to say is, I was talking about the Crusades. I was talking about all the horrible injustices that have occurred. And what I was saying is, if through a Christian lens, we know that every single thought, deed is being documented, and the books will be opened up, and people, even millennia ago, will be in front of the judge, will be scrutinized, and in the end will be righteously judged. Now, you will also mention, right? Oh yeah, and we're going to burn in hell forever. Well, the fact is that there has always been, and there still is, a doctrine of conditional immortality, because unfortunately, yes, the Bible has been misused. Catholicism, Dante's Inferno, this idea of hell. We don't really label too much in stone any heavenly dynamics, but we were quite capable during the Dark Ages and the Crusades, and Constantine adopting the Bible as a political power structure. So anyways, all that to say is that we have a worldview that explains A to Z, and keeps us from creating these horrible atrocities in history that at least we cannot justify by the Bible, but have been justified by the Bible. But your doctrine can easily morally accept as good, under a certain time and situation, the slaughter and genocide of everyone. Your morality, because it does not hang on a lawgiver, a giver of morality, you at best can say that people and culture decide morality. Correct me if I'm wrong. And that means that cultures such as Nazi Germany, we can't really say it was morally wrong, because it was specifically subjectively right in that culture, because the people each subjectively decided that this was their own cultural morality. So yeah, I was trying to say that all the horrible injustice means nothing. It's pitiless indifference, just like Dawkins said. So you start going into details of saying that it's useless to know history. When did I ever say that? What I'm saying is the horrible stuff that largely is forgotten, and a few things marked in the textbooks.